The first time I ever used an electric caddy push cart, I had never actually seen one on the golf course before. I had never seen another person using it, and this was about 4 years ago. Now, every single time I go out to my golf club, there are at least half a dozen people using electric caddies. I'm not sure there's a new technology in golf that I've seen rising and getting more popular as quickly as the electric caddy. Today we're talking about the Stewart Q Follow. It is their flagship electric caddy, and theoretically, it will just follow you around the golf course while you are playing. Now, the reality is slightly different than that, but if you were in the market for a high-end electric caddy, you want to be able to walk but not have to worry about carrying your clubs, keep watching. Today's video is for you. If you do decide the Q Follow is right for you, you can use the code BREAKING80 and it's going to save you an additional 5%. If you use that code or if you click any of the links below, I will get a commission on that, but I want to make it clear, I don't care whether or not you buy this product or any other product I talk about or not. My whole goal here is to give you my honest opinion of these products to help you find the right golf products for your needs. But if you do decide it's right for you, you can use that code, save a little bit of money, and help support the channel so I can continue to do videos like that. All right, let's talk about it. Is it any good? Let's jump into this review. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna notice as soon as the box shows up, this thing is heavy. And that's pretty much true of all electric caddy systems, because if you're gonna be going over any golf course, any terrain, it's gotta be stable enough to be able to get you from point A to point B without worried about tipping it over, because the last thing you would want is to have your electric caddy that you already might feel a little, embarrassed or a little unsure of using, and then have it like tip over into a creek. Like that wouldn't be cool. So pretty much all of these are heavy, and the Stewart Q Follow is no exception. The good news is in this case, weight also is synonymous with quality. This thing is a tank. I've played half a dozen rounds with it now, and it has performed so well. I've had no issues with it tipping over. I've had no issues with stability. Everything on it has worked really well. And that's a testament to the job that Stewart Golf has done with these, considering they have been in this business longer than just about anyone. I think this business has been around for like 25 years or something like that. I might have gotten that wrong, but they've been around for a long time, and they've been doing this since before electric caddies were actually a popular thing to use. As I became more familiar with the Q Follow and started using it, it's clear everything is very well thought out. So this thing folds down really small so you can keep it in the trunk of your car if you want. It's actually so well designed that some of these buttons are a little bit hidden until you've used it a couple times and you know where they are. The first time I used it, I spent about 45 seconds kind of being like, okay, where was this? Okay. And then once I got it, you can unfold this thing and fold it back up in like 10 seconds. Once it's folded up, this is honestly going to be the biggest problem most people will have with this or other electric caddies, and that is just getting it in and out of your cart. So this weighs 31 pounds, which isn't like crazy heavy, but it's certainly not light. So if you're someone who's a little bit older, or you have a tough time lifting heavy things, taking it in and out of your car during every round may be a little bit of a frustration. But outside of that, once it's out of your car, it works great, and you will never experience anything related to that weight again, but that is the one area where it is a little bit inconvenient, and I feel like we got to mention that because that's going to be the case with most of these electric caddies. So what's the setup like? What do you need to know before you start using it? Well, the good news is it's relatively simple. So there are two different battery options available for the Q Follow. There's the 18-hole battery and the 36-hole battery. If you want the 36-hole battery, it's gonna cost you an extra $200, but considering this is a pretty expensive unit as it is, I think for most people, you're better off spending the extra money to get that battery, because the last thing you would wanna do is have this die on the golf course, and if you forget to charge it after a round, that just kind of gives you a little bit of a backstop to ensure that you're gonna be able to finish your second round without running into issues. So even though there's no battery indicator on the unit itself, you can use their app, pair via Bluetooth, and in real time, you can monitor everything you need to know about your system, including the battery life. So I found that to be really convenient and had no issues pairing it via my phone. The unit includes a remote control, and if you've never used one of these caddies, you might be wondering, well, how do I actually do it? Does it just follow me around, or do I have to control it? Well, you have to control it. So there's a remote control, there's an up button, a left, a right, a back. It's very easy to use once you've gotten the hang of it, but the first time you leave your car with it in the parking lot, if you haven't really played around with it before, you might be a little caught off guard. It's like, oh, there it goes. You gotta make sure you know where the stop button is, and I in particular like the slow stop feature. So if you hit stop, it is just going to stop immediately right there, which is great if it's about to roll into a creek. But otherwise it can be a little jarring. So there's also a slow stop button, which means it's just gonna kind of slow to a stop over 2 or 3 seconds or so. And most of the time, that's the more enjoyable way to use it. So now that we're on the topic, let's keep talking about how well it works. So basically, you're gonna hit the up arrow and it's going to go. You hit the up arrow again, it's going to go a little faster. Hit the up arrow again, it's going to go a little faster. Hit the back arrow, it's going to slow down. Left and right, it's going to turn. Pretty obvious in that sense. But again, if you're not used to it, everything might feel a little bit jarring or might feel a little uncomfortable at first. In my experience, within like 3 holes, I pretty much had it down. And after 9 holes, I stopped thinking about it. It was just everything felt natural. I knew exactly what to do. I knew how to use it, and I could really focus on my round of golf. But just know, for your first like half a round, your first round, it's gonna be a little more top of mind as you're kind of getting used to using this thing. It is completely different from just using a push cart or taking a real golf cart. If you do decide to pick one up and you're using it, I would suggest trying to find a relatively open, a relatively wide golf course, something that doesn't necessarily have a lot of ups and downs or a lot of hazards, just so you can kind of get familiar with the basics. After that, it's fair game. This thing can pretty much handle anything. I think one thing I was a little surprised by was the abruptness of the turning of this unit. You notice this especially in the parking lot, where it's like it's going and it'll kind of gurt and then kind of gurt. And it's really not a big deal at all on the golf course itself, and it's nice because it can pretty much turn on a dime. So if you're about to hit something and you turn it, it's going to be very responsive. But it can feel a little bit jerky at first if you're not used to how it works, where if you're expecting it to be like a car, just nice and smooth turns. Well, with this, if you're gonna hit something, you wanna make sure that you turn out of the way. And so this does a very good job of helping you do that quickly, but sometimes can feel a little jerky in the process. The other thing to get used to is the idea of always go. So it's not like you have a gas and a brake. If you hit the up button, it's going to start going, and it's going to keep going until you hit the stop button. And so that can be a little weird at first if you're used to like, okay, I hit the gas, and as soon as I take my foot off the gas, everything's gonna slow down. No, it's just going to keep going. So if you hit the up button one time and you're using it, basically you can hold onto the handles and you're kind of just going at a nice leisurely walking pace. Where you might get thrown off all of a sudden is if you're doing this and the cart's kind of moving on its own power and you get to say a bridge and you think you can just kind of hold it or, you know, hit the down button to stop. Like, no, it's gonna keep going until you hit the stop or the glide stop button. So just kind of be aware of that as you start using it. That's the main thing over the first few holes you're gonna experience, just kind of getting used to it. But once you're used to it, I found it to work really well, and I have complete confidence that I can control this thing and get it to go exactly where I want it to go, when I want it to go there. When you're looking at the design, you might notice that there are 2 smaller wheels in back, so this thing can do a little bit of a wheelie. These are stabilizer wheels, so that if you are going uphill, it'll basically move back onto those wheels and go up to make sure that it doesn't tip over. So between the build quality, the stability, these extra wheels, and the weight of this unit, I have taken this thing over some crazy terrain, and I've had no issues with it falling over. This is without a doubt one of the most stable electric caddy systems out there. There's some products out there where you just attach it to an existing push cart. This is one of those areas where having a dedicated electric caddy that was designed from the ground up with these types of things in mind really works well and gives you that added stability that you might not get in less expensive units or just kind of add-on units. So what's it actually like to use this once you've got the controls down? So if you're anything like me, I prefer to walk. I walk most of my rounds, but a lot of times I use a push cart. And sometimes I've got a little bit of guilt around that, like I should be a purist and I should carry my clubs. But for someone who plays 75, 100 rounds a year, is getting a little bit older, I value my back. And in my head, I'm getting more of a workout when I carry my clubs, but studies have been done that show that you're not actually getting that much better of a workout when you carry your clubs versus just walking or using a push cart. The real key and the real benefit is just when you're walking versus riding in a golf cart. And so my experience with this, especially after the first round or two, is just being able to walk and be hands off and kind of know how to control it and how everything's gonna work. It becomes second nature where I can do it as I'm having a conversation. The range on it is very good. I think the stated range is 50 meters or around 150 feet. I have definitely had it at least as far, if not quite a bit further than that, have not had an issue where it has run out of range. And honestly, when you're that far away, you probably don't want to get that much further away anyway. So if anyone's concerned about connectivity or range or anything like that, you don't have to worry about that with this unit. So this brings us to the biggest feature of this particular model that you may be wondering about, and that is the follow system. So we've all kind of been waiting for that electric caddy that just knows where we are and follows us around wherever we go, that we don't have to worry about. So the Q Follow definitely gets us closer to that, but it's not quite there yet. So essentially what you do is you hit the button for follow mode on the remote. You then take the remote, you clip it to your belt loop, and it's essentially going to put like a 5-foot halo around you. So what's gonna happen is the Q Follow is then going to kind of stay right at that 5-foot halo and follow you around. Now it's not perfect. It's not gonna sense obstacles. It's not gonna sense bridges. If you're in really rough terrain, the follow system doesn't work quite as well. So the way I kind of like to think of the follow system is it's kind of like a reward. If I bomb my drive down the middle of the fairway and I'm just walking down the middle of the fairway, I hit follow, I walk unencumbered, and it just magically follows me around until I get to my ball, I stop, it stops with me. That part of it works great. But it's not quite in that like fully autonomous, you do nothing and it's gonna perfectly follow you through your round for 18 holes without having issues. So the Q Follow system is great. It's a very nice thing to have, but for the extra money of this system, there might be some people that say, you know what, I don't need it. I'll wait till the next evolution where it's even a little bit more autonomous. I don't know what that's going to look like, both with Stewart Golf products or any others, but I think that's where everybody would like to get. They wanna make these products as autonomous and non-intrusive as possible, and they're definitely moving in that direction, and the Q Follow is one of the best out there when it comes to that, but it's still gonna have a little bit of ways to go. So let's talk price. The Q Follow is not an inexpensive electric caddy. For the base 18-hole version, it is $3,000. Currently, as I shoot this in October 2024, the 18-hole and the 36-hole are actually the same price. So you can get that bigger battery for the same cost as the 18-hole one, but $3,000 is a lot of money, especially considering there are a lot of really solid competing products at under $2,000. There's also a more expensive carbon version, which comes in at $3,500, but as I understand it, the carbon version is mostly all aesthetics and doesn't actually add any performance or features, so if it were me, I would probably skip that and get the regular Q Follow. One thing I do want to point out that's going to be a consideration when you're getting an electric caddy is whether or not you buy one that has a built-in screen or a built-in GPS unit. What you'll find is a lot of them do have built-in screens for keeping score and GPS units. For me personally, I kind of look at that as a downside. Considering there are so many really high quality GPS options, both just phone apps, watches, rangefinders, dedicated GPS units that specialize in nothing but that, in my experience, most of those are going to perform better than the ones in a built-in cart. Also, considering you're probably expecting to have this cart for like 5-10 years, you expect to use this for a long time, you don't want to see the GPS and the screen and the technology aspect of it start, lagging behind or not working as well as different updates come or not pairing as well with your phone. Personally, I like the idea of keeping my cart just for my cart and using a different GPS option for my GPS needs, capabilities, and so on. So should you buy the Stewart Golf Q Follow? Well, I think that depends. First off, how into the follow system are you? Like I said, it's not fully autonomous, but when you use it, it's nice, and it feels almost like magic. As I mentioned, the Q Follow is about $3,000. You can get their Vertex, which in a lot of ways feels and performs very similarly to the Q Follow. You can get that for $1,000 less. And then again, if you use our Breaking 80 coupon code, you're gonna save even more than that. When it comes to all the things that matter most in an electric caddy, how well does it control? How responsive is it? Build quality, stability. This thing is as good as it gets. I've had a wonderful experience with it when I've used it on the course. For me, do I need to spend the extra $1,000 or so to get the Follow technology? I mean, yeah, it's nice, but that's a lot of extra money. So I don't know that I would personally spend the premium on that when you get the Vertex or options from MotoCaddy or MGI that are significantly less money. If you want the best of the best, if you want the Rolls Royce of electric Follow caddies, then this is probably the one you should get. But if you don't feel like you need the Follow technology, I would definitely check out the Vertex or a couple models from MGI that are going to come in at a much lower price point. And I will link to all the reviews we have done on these products down below. Long story short, this thing is great, and these electric caddies are not only getting more popular, but the technology is coming a long ways as well. If you do decide to pick up the Q Follow, I think you are going to be very, very happy with it, and I think it is going to last you for many years to come. My name's Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here at Breaking 80. We're going to talk about cool golf courses, cool golf resorts, travel, you name it. So if you got some value out of this, maybe hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions about the Q Follow or any other electric caddies, drop a comment below. I will do my best to answer every single one. And with that, I hope you have an excellent day. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.